Okay, welcome to day 3 and 4 of this week's morning work. It's week 24, and we have 8 questions we'll be addressing in this YouTube video. So I'm going to share strategies with you. You can check your work. Hopefully you already have this done, and you're just checking your work against the work I do here. So we have in day 3, our first question is 3 multiplication facts with multiples of 10. So 70 is a multiple of 10. I have 70 times 8, so I look for the hidden fact in that equation, and 7 times 8 is my hidden fact. If I know that 7 times 8 is 56, I can write 56, and then I just add a 0 because I'm not multiplying by 7 ones, I'm multiplying by 7 tens. Okay, go ahead and find your hidden facts in the next 2. Underline them. If you didn't do that, it's a good strategy to get in the habit of doing, finding those hidden facts. Next one, 80 times 4. My hidden fact is 8 times 4. That is 32. So I just have to write 32 and add my 0 because I'm multiplying by a multiple of 10. And the last one is actually, if you noticed it, just the first one reversed, the commutative property with a multiple of 10. So if 70 times 8 is 560, then 80 times 7 is also 560. Okay, let's go down to the next one. It says shade the circle to show 7 eighths. Well, if I have eighths, then I must have 8 equal parts. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I do have 8 equal parts, and I have to shade 7 eighths. So that means all but one of them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my shading tool here, and I'm going to shade and count 1 eighth, 2 eighths, 3 eighths, 4 eighths, 5 eighths, and this is what I'd like you to do as well, 6 eighths. Make sure you're counting them, 7 eighths. And now I have shaded 7 eighths. If we look at just the opposite, from the opposite point of view, we have 1 eighth that is not shaded right here. Okay, more questions on fractions. If you haven't already figured this out, fractions are really important 3rd grade skill, boys and girls. So I'm hoping that you're starting to see glass when it comes to fractions. This says, are these 2 fractions equivalent? And this is kind of what we've been working on this week. We're looking at these through models. They're not fraction strips, but they're models, they're circles. Notice they're drawn exactly the same size. The first one has 3 equal parts, and 1/3 is shaded, so I'm going to write that fraction underneath. The second one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts, and 3 are shaded, so that would be 3/6. And now I have to compare them, or see if they're equivalent. And I'm going to look and see, and geez, this one, only this much is shaded. This one, half of it is shaded. So I would say, are they equivalent fractions? No, they are not. Matter of fact, 1/3 is less than 3/6. Okay. Now we have a word problem. It says Emma has 50 pictures in a box. So what am I picturing in my mind right now? A box with 50 pictures in it. She wants to put an equal number of pictures on each of 10 pages of her photo album. So I'm thinking, okay, she's got this book, it's a photo album, and in it she has 10 pages. How many pictures should Emma put on each page? So let's go back and look at our knowns again. 50 pictures represents the total pictures. 10 represents the number of pages she's going to put those on, and she does want to put an equal number. So as soon as we're working with equal numbers, we know it's multiplication or division. So I can write this number sentence. I can take my 50 pictures and I can divide that by the 10 pages, and I could write 50 divided by 10. I know what each one of those numbers represents. And then that's an easy fact. That would be 5, because I know 10 times 5 equals 50. In order to get my answer, remember with division, you can skip count. So I could skip count by 10 until I get to 50 using your fingers. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. My answer would be 5. So how many pictures should Emma put on each page? I'm going to use my texting feature here. It's a little bit quicker. And I'm going to type 5 pictures. Okay, remember to dress up your number. Okay, we're on to day 4. Day 4 is a graphing problem. We spent some time with that during our distance learning. How many students like many more students, excuse me, like triangles than squares. So I'm going to go right to my triangle bar. And, you know, I like to go to the top of the bar, trace it over to my scale on the side. That is 9. I'm going to write 9 right there. Keep my work organized. And then I'm comparing that to squares. So here's my square bar. And I'm going to go to the top of that, trace over to the scale, and I find that that is a 5. I'm going to write the 5 there. And I have to find out how many more people like triangles than squares. Well, I can write this number sentence. I can write 9 minus 5 equals 4. Okay, and it would be 4 more students. My font's a little big there. Okay. And really, the circles, there wasn't anything, I didn't even really have to look at how many people chose circles because it wasn't part of the problem. All right, let's go down here. Here's a number line. We've been working with number lines and fractions a lot. It says label 2 eighths on the number line. Well, first I want to make sure I do in fact have eighths. Should have 8 equal parts to have eighths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I do have eighths, and I need to find 2 eighths. Well, this would be 0 eighths right here. And then I can count on from 0 eighths. So 0 eighths, 1 eighth, 2 eighths, right there would be 2 eighths. And I'm not going to label all the fractions. And then this question actually goes over here. It says label 7 eighths as well. Well, a couple things I can do. I can count on from 2 eighths, 3 eighths, 4 eighths, 5 eighths, 6 eighths, 7 eighths. There's 7 eighths. But the other thing I could also do, it's a little quicker. If I know that 1 whole is 8 eighths, then all I would have to do is start at 1 whole or 8 eighths and count backwards to 7 eighths. And there's your 2 fractions we had to find. All right, and then finally, and I'm going to erase this so it's not in the way of our thinking. We have 3 multiplication and division equations. 42 divided by 6 equals. So your strategy for division should be the same as multiplication. Skip count by 6 to get to 42. Use your fingers. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. My answer is 7. Now, also remember, Mrs. Reed had that poster up in her room for months, 6 times 7 equals 42, to kind of lock it in your memory. It's supposed to be one of the hardest facts to memorize. I'm not sure about that, but hopefully you all have it memorized now. Next fact, 16 divided by 8 equals. I'm pretty good with my doubles, so I know that's 2. Because I know 2 times 8 is 16. I also can skip count by 8 until I get to 16. 8, 16. There's my answer. And then finally, 7 times 4 equals. Hopefully you know that fact, but if you don't have it memorized, remember you can skip count by 4 7 times. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. 7 times 4 is 28. You could also skip count by 7 4 times. Remember, skip counting only does you good if you use your fingers. So we could skip count by 7 4 times. 7, 14, 21, 28. All right, boys and girls, you're done with day 3 and day 4 of this week's morning work. I hope you found that helpful, and we will talk to you soon.